Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking an absolute epidemic, one that targets literally the most valuable asset you own, your identity. It's this constantly evolving, massively destructive disaster that just refuses to be stopped. I mean, think about it. We lock our homes, we lock our cars, right? But what about our names? Let's get right into it.
William Shakespeare actually hit the nail on the head centuries ago. Long before the internet was even a spark of an idea. He wrote in Othello that he that filches from me my good name makes me poor indeed. He completely understood that stealing someone's reputation is a deeply personal, devastating violation.
And today, well, that violation happens incredibly fast. Every 79 seconds. Yep, every 79 seconds, someone's identity gets swiped. What started out as, basic credit card fraud has totally morphed into this high-tech, global monster that drains billions of dollars and affects millions of us.
To really wrap our heads around how this crime blew up the way it did, we're pulling from some fantastic source material. Martin T. Biegelman's Identity Theft Handbook. It's a super comprehensive deep dive into the history, the players, and the ongoing battle against identity fraud.
Okay, Section 1, Social Security's Patient Zero. The innocent mistake that started it all.
Let's jump back in time a bit. When the U.S. government first rolled out Social Security numbers back in 1936, the goal was super specific. Just track earnings for a retirement safety net. Actually, they even went so far as to print "not for identification" right there on the card. But, well, look at what happened. By the 60s and 70s, it had completely morphed. It became the ultimate master key to our lives, used for driver's licenses, taxes, medical records, you name it.
And that leads us to this wild story about Hilda Schrader Witcher, who might just be the very first identity theft victim. So, 1938, a wallet manufacturer in New York wants to show off how their new wallets fit these fancy new Social Security cards. An executive decides to use his secretary's actual card, Hilda's card, as the sample insert. They sold thousands of these things at Woolworths, and because people just didn't understand how the system worked yet, over 40,000 people ended up using Hilda's exact number as their own. The government literally had to step in and void it. Crazy, right?
Moving to Section 2, the credit card boom. From metal plates to mass mailings.
Because without credit cards, this epidemic just wouldn't exist like it does today. It started off pretty small. Think 1914, Western Union handing out these little metal charge plates, basically dog tags for their VIPs. Fast forward to 1950, and Diners Club introduces a universal restaurant card, just one bill a month. But 1958, that was a real game changer. American Express and Bank AmeriCard launched, and things just exploded. By the late 60s, banks were literally mailing out millions of unsolicited credit cards. Unsuspecting citizens, kids, deceased relatives, heck, even pets were getting approved for credit lines.
Okay, so now we've got universal identifiers and universal credit floating around. Think about what happens today when you go buy a car or open a new checking account. You sit down, fill out some paperwork, and casually hand over your full name, your home address, your date of birth, and your Social Security number. You are basically handing over the keys to your personal vault. It is literally everything a thief needs to become you.
Which brings us to Section 3, the Identity Thief's Playbook. From the trash can to the internet.
Let's look at how these criminals actually get their hands on our info. Some methods are shockingly basic. Others are super advanced. Starting with the old reliable, dumpster diving. Okay, I know, it sounds pretty gross, but it works like a charm. Even today, people in huge businesses just toss out highly sensitive documents without even shredding them. Thieves go rummaging through the trash and hit the absolute motherlode. Bank statements, canceled checks, you name it.
Then you've got mail theft and check washing. This one is wild. Thieves will use sticky contraptions, I'm talking melted mousetrap glue here, to literally fish envelopes right out of those blue postal collection boxes. Once they grab a check, they soak it in chemicals like acetone or brake fluid. It completely erases the ink so they can just write in their own name and whatever amount they want.
But here is where things get genuinely scary. While some guys are out there playing with mousetrap glue, today's high-tech cybercriminals are using botnets. They infect thousands of unprotected computers all over the world, turning them into these silent zombie armies. Then, they control the whole network remotely to steal passwords, intercept data, and commit massive fraud, all without leaving their couch.
With all that stolen data, the playbook is just wide open. They pull off account takeovers, redirecting your mail, and draining your bank accounts. They'll apply for credit cards in your name, they'll file fake tax returns to steal your refund.
And maybe the scariest one, medical identity theft. They use your info to get medical care, leaving your actual health records permanently mixed up with a criminal's medical history, which could literally threaten your life in an emergency.
Let's hit Section 4, True Crime Case Studies, the relentless adaptability of criminals. To really see how adaptable these fraudsters are, let's look at some actual case files. Take the weekend furlough fraud back in 1981. Ricky Lee Bishop and Howard A. Jones were literally already serving time in a Virginia prison for fraud. But they were put on a garbage collection detail that stopped at a local inn. They just dug through the hotel's trash, found some credit card carbon slips, and ordered stuff over the phone. Because they had weekend furlough privileges for good behavior, they just strolled home on the weekend and picked up their stolen goods. You really can't make this up.
Or how about the Jacksonville teddy bear case? So this postal worker managed to steal 32 credit cards from the mail. He was actually pretty smart about it, using them all over the country so nobody got suspicious. But then he finds a stolen card with his exact own name on it, Billy T. Smith. Later, he's at an amusement park, his daughter wants this giant teddy bear, and he decides to use the stolen Billy T. Smith card. The clerk asks for ID, and this guy just casually hands over his own real driver's license. One incredibly foolish mistake, and the postal inspectors caught him immediately. Now, taking a much darker turn, there was the circulation. This was a massive crime syndicate out in Southern California, mostly run by methamphetamine addicts to fund their habits. They would steal massive amounts of mail, take it back to safe houses, and literally build detailed victim profiles. We're talking social security numbers, mother's maiden names, the whole shebang. They hijacked over 1,000 identities to buy electronics, book hotel rooms, and rent cars. Just a massive operation.
And that brings us to Section 5, Your Name, Their Gain, the lasting impact on victims.
Look, whether your identity is stolen by a sophisticated meth ring or by a family member, and yes, spouses and siblings steal from each other all the time, the tragedy is exactly the same. Legally speaking, the banks usually absorb the direct financial loss, right? Because of that, people used to call this a victimless crime. But that couldn't be further from the truth. The real victim is the person left with completely wrecked credit. Suddenly, they can't buy a house, they can't get a car loan, and they have to spend years fighting a total bureaucratic nightmare just to prove they are who they say they are.
It kind of reminds me of that famous quote from the comic strip Pogo. We have met the enemy, and he is us. Identity thieves are incredibly adaptable, for sure, but we definitely hand them the tools they need. We toss out unshredded bank statements. We leave mail in unlocked boxes. We give out our social security numbers without a second thought. Our own carelessness is often what fuels this epidemic.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to think about this. We spend so much time and so much money locking up our homes and cars to protect our physical stuff, right? But our most valuable asset, our name, is just sitting out there wide open. So I'll leave you with this. Who has the keys to your identity? Thanks so much for joining me, and stay vigilant out there.